one of the most frightening things to happen to anybody is to look out your window and see someone looking back at you. Steve the Amateur Historian. Get ready, guys, because I waited specifically till nighttime to go out with you guys, and even though my face may go dark like it does now, I'm outside at night for a reason, because I'm going to talk to you about something that over the last few years has become a very popular both creepypasta and urban legend all over the internet. But its origin goes back to the late 90s, and one of the first reports of this, like a legitimate report, not just some story on a creepypasta urban legend site, came from Portland, specifically the downtown area. But I don't want to be in downtown at night. What I'm talking about are the black-eyed children. And just watching videos with my girlfriend last night in the safety of our bedroom, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning, we started watching videos on this stuff, and we were both getting goosebumps. We were tripping out. We were freaking out. I'll tell you right now, as I start to discuss this, Portland's connection, I'm not saying I necessarily believe this stuff, but it's still scary even when you're skeptical. And I'm telling you right now, if at any moment while I'm doing this video I stumble upon a kid wandering around by themselves, I'm gonna freak out and I'm gonna run. I will let my imagination get the best of me in that position, if nothing more, just to keep myself safe. So what are the black-eyed children? Well, simply put, the urban legend slash creepypasta as it goes is you could be in your car, you could be at home, any number of circumstances, and these children will come to your house and they'll imply that they're in danger or they're stranded, things to that effect. And they'll often ask, like if you're in their car, they'll ask, can I get in your car? Can you take me home to my family? I'm out here, I'm alone and I'm scared. Can you give me a ride somewhere? If you're at home, they'll kind of do the same thing. They'll say, I'm scared. Can I come into your house for safety? And they have black eyes, these just black glassy eyes, and they tend to be in kind of tattered clothes. A lot of stories, you know, reportedly real or complete fabrication from the outset. They tend to be in like very older type clothing you might have seen people wear regularly 100-200 years ago. And apparently when they approach you, like they have an effect on you, when they ask you, like, you have a tendency to want to cooperate with them when you shouldn't. And the way that the urban legend goes is, the more you cooperate with them, if you agree to give them a ride somewhere, if you agree to let them come into your home, bad things happen. From an assortment of negative effects, like just fear, dread, maybe even suicidal thoughts, physical ailments, illnesses, nosebleeds, things of that nature can happen. Just bad things happen when you listen to and trust the black-eyed children. And the first and most prominent story to come out of Portland bears out that conclusion very much. And I'm walking towards what is it, the Cherry Park over here, which is all dark, so I'm not going down there. I think homeless people and druggies hang out there, and then the school's off this way. And from what I remember, there was actually a murder that happened around here not too long ago. So I'm already kind of getting nervous and uncomfortable, which is the objective. There's people in a car over here, and I think they're getting stoned, so I'm gonna take this back path by the schoolway, which isn't really a whole lot less creepy. Like, I may have to run. Did you hear that? It sounds like somebody's here. I hear like the pinging of... Hear that? Fuck. Like, I don't mean to sound like a pussy, but there's weird sounds happening, and talking about this stuff tends to freak people out. Case. No, thank you. The Portland case, you can't even see me. The Portland case comes from 1998. The first official report came from 1997 from a guy named, I think, Brian Bethel, who in 1997 in Texas, I think, said that he encountered these children with black eyes near a movie theater. Right, so it's 1998, and a guy, I can't remember the guy's last name now, but a guy named John, who lived in, I think he lived in Portland, but he was in downtown for a like software development seminar convention. And whenever it happened, this date in 1998, he finished around 10. He went and got some food, finished around 11, so it's the 11 o'clock hour when he goes to the parking garage, third level up, where he parked his car. And so he gets in his car, again, 11 o'clock hour. Wow, that's not creepy lighting. The light's actually shining through the trees and is making me look. God, that was agonizing walking through there, thinking about this stuff, and it was pitch black, and I was hearing all these weird sounds. But so John goes to get in his car, gets ready to leave when he hears a tap at his window. We all know what that means. But it wasn't a child, it was actually another guy that had been to the seminar with him, who asked if he could get into his car and have a ride around the block to kill some time. And the reason, I think he said the guy's name was Doug, didn't give a last name, and he said that Doug told him the reason he wanted to do this was because of some kids that were near his car. And you're like, well, what does that mean? And John agreed to do it, and either because they had to go this way or out of curiosity, he started to drive towards the kids, of which there was 2 boys and a girl, varying from the ages, I think, of 10 to 14. And John slowed down, and the 2 boys walked up to the car, but one went around to the driver's side of the car, and the other went around to the passenger side of the car. And the kid asked that question, like, hey, we're stranded here and alone, can you help us? And the other kid standing on the passenger side where John's friend was sitting said to his friend, hey, words to the effect of, hey, you promised to give us a ride, you promised to help us. And John was like freaked by this and just took off. And because they were on the 3rd level, they had to wrap around and get down to ground level. But I mean, they were trying to speed out of there. So even in a tight parking garage, he said they were going like 30, 35 miles an hour. And they got to the bottom ground level where they could escape. And he said that when they got to the bottom, one of the boys had already gotten down there, and he like was right there by the car, and he almost got up to it, and they sped out of there. But it's like, how the hell did that kid get down there, you know, as fast as he did? Is kind of the freak out thing. And I know this is kind of a Halloween story, but look at these Christmas decorations. That lightens me up a little bit. And so they leave, but they have to come back a little later so that his buddy can, you know, get his car back and go home. And I remember John saying, you know, they tore out of onto the street when one of the boys made it down to where they were, and then as they were tearing away, he looked back and he said that the boy was gone. It just disappeared. So they come back, John says, about 10 minutes later, and John gets into his car. They're both kind of freaked out. You know, once they got away from the kids and away from the parking garage, they'd kind of settled. Now they had to go back into the parking garage so his friend could get his car. And John said that feeling of discomfort, of dread, had started coming back. It was like a feeling that was menacing them. And so they wanted to get out of there quick. And he followed behind his buddy. Again, I think his name was Doug. They both left the parking garage, and he said that, Doug, this is where that idea of bad things happen to you when you cooperate with the black-eyed children. John said his friend Doug went out into traffic. He apparently misjudged a yellow light and got broadsided by a truck going through an intersection, and that he died almost immediately in the accident. And in the aftermath, while John's there shooken up, he just watched a colleague of his die. He said that he spoke with the police, and as he was, finishing up with that and getting ready to leave, he looked off, and like a block or two away, he saw the 3 kids again. And of course, it's weird because like my eyes are kind of obstructed. I almost look like I have black eyes. And oh my God, I'm looking. Kelly Butte is ahead of me. Imagine me trying to tell the story while walking around Kelly Butte. You couldn't pay me enough money in the world. No. But yeah, that's the idea. But you might be thinking like, well, his buddy walked away from his car and got into John's car and they escaped. That was weird. This house has no lights on and yet the door just opened and closed. I don't like that at all. So yeah, you'd be thinking, this Doug guy fled the kids with his friend, so he didn't cooperate with them. Well, apparently in this time between when they took off and then came back so Doug could get his car, Doug admitted to having encountered, I think, the oldest of the 2 boys earlier, and agreed to help them, and actually gave him a ride earlier and agreed to give him a ride home after the seminar ended, which makes sense. When they walked up to John's car, one of the kids said to Doug, hey, you agreed to help us, or words to that effect. So it seems like his buddy Doug agreed to be helpful, and then he died as a result of it, which actually, that final aspect of it makes the story a lot more suspicious to me. It's just too conveniently wrapped up. However, this is 1998. These stories, this was not a thing yet, this black-eyed children. There was like one other account. It was a obscure, pretty much unknown thing at this time. So it's not like he was just taking advantage of a popular urban legend. And from the sources I've seen, the black-eyed children creepypasta urban legend craze didn't even really take off till around 2013. 15 years after this account shows up in a messaging board, which is where all of John's story came out, in individual parts. And so it's an interesting story. It's suspicious, and at the end of it, John wasn't like, I was haunted, these were crazy, demon children, oh my god, I should write a book about this and become a millionaire and become uber popular. He just said, he said like, they weren't vampires, they weren't this, they weren't that, but his biggest concern was he had to come back to that part of Portland for another gig seminar type thing, and he was scared about having to come back to this area and encountering these kids again and whatever their presence there meant. And as far as I know, there's been no follow-up about that. That was how his messaging on the message board ended, was he was scared to come back. So nobody knows what happened to John after that. Did he decide to skip on the next convention? Did he go back? What happened when he went back? Did he ever see these kids again? Who knows? Alright, I haven't encountered any teenagers yet. Could be the most clean-cut, normal-looking teenager in the world, and I'm gonna freak a bit. You know what I'm talking about? Now, that's the most prominent story to come out of the Portland area in terms of the black-eyed children. I knew this story about the black-eyed children. I'd known about it, especially since it's blown up, but I had no idea that one of the earliest stories, accounts of it, actually came from Portland. But John's, while the most prominent, is not the only one. There was another message board. There was a woman in November of 2004. Now, I don't know if it happened in 2004. That's just when it was reportedly posted. Again, almost a decade before the whole black-eyed children craze really took off. And there was a woman who said she lived in Portland, said she ran that's not a pearl. Okay, I think that's a recycling bin. I thought that was a small child for a second. Anyway, there was a woman. I don't think there was she never gave a name in her post, so she's just random Portland woman. And she was a apartment manager, so a lot of people would come to her office inquiring about vacant units. And she said this one guy who actually looked like he was about 17, 18, and in the creepypasta, the full broad age range of black-eyed kids goes from 5 to 17 years. So this kid was, almost practically an adult on the higher up end of the spectrum. And he showed up, and she was just... the fuck? Okay, I didn't... You had to hear that. I don't know what the hell that was, but I've got goosebumps now. I mean, I guess that's the point, is to get freaked out. But yeah, I am covered in goosebumps right now. Anyway, so yeah, she said that she was just petrified by this guy, and she looked at him, and he saw that he had these completely black eyes, and he had this total just kind of calmness and stillness about him, which is very common in all these accounts. And yeah, she said that she just wanted to, she said she felt like she wanted to die. She was so frightened, and the kid just came up and was like, can you help me? I need a place to live. Thank you for that extra lighting. House. And yeah, she said she literally just had to close the door on him, and that he kind of just loitered out there like he was waiting for her to... That's a tree, right? I saw this thing right here, and it looked like it was a person behind me, but I was pretty sure it was a tree. God dang. Random things are happening to scare me that don't make any sense. Yeah, and apparently he wanted to come into the office. I was like, can I come into your office? Or can you show me the unit? This, like, can I come inside to this place or that place? And she literally had to close the door on him in just a complete freak out and panic. And she, like, ran away from the door. She literally just had to slam the door in his face and, you know, called her daughter in this state of dread. She said she was just shaking for hours after this encounter. And it was her daughter that ultimately made her aware of this black-eyed children concept, that other people had seen people like this before. And of course, I don't think that really helped her calm down. But that was another instance that came out of Portland. And I know as recently as 2011, which is still kind of, you know, pre the black-eyed children thing blowing up, there was a woman. Now, it was on a Reddit thread, and it was a Reddit thread that's, I think, called No Sleep, which seems to be like a place where maybe what people are posting is factual, but it seems more like it's a mix of real accounts and fictitious creepypasta story style accounts. It even says on there words to the effect of, you know, even if it's fiction, it's true. I don't remember exactly what it said, but something like that. So it's an account that's hard to believe whether it's true or not, but it was a woman discussing how she noticed her next door neighbor didn't want to do anything for Halloween, didn't want to put decorations up, didn't want to put candy out or anything. And when she asked him why, he told her about how Halloween night the year before, it got to be, you know, it was almost midnight, so he was, you know, the trick-or-treaters were done and gone, and he said that, like, there was a knock at his door, and he was kind of annoyed, like, who trick-or-treats this late? But he decided to stay in the spirit of things and open the door to be like, hey! And he said he opened the door, and there was, I think, 2 black-eyed kids, again, roughly in that, like, 11, 12, 13, 14 year old age range, and just freaked him out. And scared the hell out of this woman too. Now I don't know if that's a true account. Again, it's on this kind of suspicious Reddit thread. But there's one more prominent black-eyed child encounter that was posted long before it became a thing. It got posted back in 2000 on a thread by a guy who just went by a thread. It was like Harvest something. I can't remember it now. I'll be putting stills of the thread up. But anyway, I'm just going to call him Harvest because I can't remember the last. Harvest Walker, Harvest West, I don't remember. I'm just going to call him Harvest. And he said that in 2000 he was visiting Portland. He was staying at a hostel on Gleason Street in Northwest Portland. So he was probably maybe on the edge of the Pearl, but maybe more in like the Nob Hill area of Portland, which is, you know, pretty chill, pretty swanky area. And him and his wife were having a good time drinking with this other couple that was staying there. They ran out of beer. He remembered they had some wine in their car, so he grabbed the keys. The car was parked a few blocks from where the hostel was located, so he had to walk down there. He gets to the car, is about to take the wine out, and suddenly someone says, like, hey, mister, or excuse me, scares the shit out of the guy, because the guy thinks he's all alone, and all of a sudden there's like a kid right there. And yeah, he described the kid as an adolescent, so I don't think he gave an actual age, but adolescent kind of implies it's probably, you know, a 12, 13-year-old boy in this case. And kid said what you'd expect in the dark-eyed children lexicon. Said, like, you know, hey, I'm stuck out here all alone, can you give me a ride? And the guy noticed that the kid had black eyes, scared the hell out of him. The kid's like calm demeanor, while the grown adult guy is standing there freaking out. He apparently that seemed in his writing to scare him almost as much as the black eyes. And he was just like, no, sorry, I can't. Like, he was just so freaked out that there was no way he was gonna just let this kid into his car. And apparently the kid, now this goes a little bit off from the urban legend, because in the urban legend it seems like the children will kind of continue to make efforts to get you to agree to let them into your home, but they'll never force their way into your home. They have to be granted entry to come in. But in this case, he says the kid didn't push the issue, like, oh, please, sir, I just need this, I just need a ride. He apparently said, oh, that's okay, because my friends are here now. And the guy looked off, and he said that he saw, about a block away, he saw another boy and a girl coming towards them. And he said maybe his eyes were deceiving him. He may have been, he was freaked out in the moment, obviously. And he said he wasn't wearing his glasses, which, maybe he had bad vision. But he said it seemed like these kids were floating, like a couple inches off the ground. And he freaked. He said the hell with the whine, and he took off running. He even said he heard kind of a growl of some kind behind him. And he just sprinted all out back to the hostel. And when he got there, everyone was like, what the hell? Like, what's wrong? Because obviously he comes flying in, scared out of his mind. And he said that he made up this story that he almost got mugged and, like, had to run away. Because in the aftermath, he was embarrassed that he had freaked out so much by just having this encounter with a couple of kids. But he said that it bothered him for years after. And this posting that he did online, which obviously was a while after the event itself had happened, he said that was the first time that he'd actually admitted to what happened. He had just kind of kept it his own secret and kind of, I guess, stayed with this lie of getting robbed. So there's these really interesting encounters that people have posted. And these Portland-based ones, most of them happened way before black-eyed children became a trendy thing. Something that people were going to make up fake accounts about things that, and now it's up there with all these other creepypasta things. So you go online and there's all these, like, top 5 creepiest videos of black-eyed children, and I've watched some of those list videos. People claiming that they saw black-eyed children, and all them, the image they see is always way far in the background of their video, and just videos where you can't really verify it. And it's just, when something becomes big like that, it's a creepypasta, an urban legend, whatever, and it becomes a big thing, it's really hard to believe encounters that happen after that, because everybody wants to get involved, everybody wants to be part of the craze. So all of a sudden, when something becomes big, all of a sudden the encounters that people have just suddenly go through the roof, and suddenly everybody's encountered black-eyed children. Everybody's caught a video of black-eyed children. Everybody has met black-eyed people. And it just becomes harder and harder to believe the accounts. And I don't know, I'm a believer in strange things. I'm a believer, I believe aliens and UFOs exist. Absolutely. There's no way that all of the life on Earth is existing, or all the life in the universe is existing just on Earth. I mean, come on, let's be real about it. Jeez, I thought I saw something move over there. So yeah, they become harder and harder to believe, and obviously, in the case of these 3 stories, again, I'm not really including the Reddit one, because I don't know whether that was intended to be a real account, or if that was just someone taking advantage of the popularity of the black-eyed children story concept. And what's interesting is, in these accounts, it doesn't seem like there's any objective to achieve notoriety or to achieve popularity, or be like, I'm the one person in the world that's seen this wild, crazy thing. Like this John guy, he was just scared of going back to that part of town. And this other guy, this Harvest guy, he, kept it a secret, it seems, for a really long time. And you just go down the line, and this woman who lived in Portland, who wasn't even aware there was a black-eyed children thing, when she encountered this guy. And I don't really have much reason to disbelieve these accounts beyond just how absurd, they seem to be. But I mean, who really knows? I think it's, it's definitely hard nowadays to believe these stories when they come out because they just come out left and right, but I just thought that was a really interesting piece of Portland history, and I thought it'd be really entertaining to talk about this at nighttime when it's more likely to be scary. I mean, if it scared me when I was in my bedroom last night, it's gonna scare me when I'm outside walking around, you know. So, you know, I haven't really done a whole lot of things that are like haunted, paranormal, creepypasta, urban legend, all that stuff based, because there's not really a whole lot of that in Portland. You know, there's haunted stories left and right from this person and that person, but this was a story that it's like this very popular urban legend creepypasta thing, and I mean, a plethora of its earliest claims that happened long before it became trendy to claim. You know, everybody and their grandma's seen black-eyed children now. But like 3 of the earliest encounters reported on this thing came from people in Portland. So, I mean, I had to talk about it. There was no way I wasn't going to. But, yeah, I'm still a little shaky after that sound I heard up over there. That was the worst. That scared the living crap out of me. That and walking by the school and hearing just all kinds of weird noises like chains jingling, and it didn't look like anyone was there. That didn't need to happen. Not now. But anyway, I thought this would be a fun, cool, crazy method by which to bring this crazy story and this crazy background, whether it's true, whether it's not, whether you believe it or whether you don't. But no matter which way you shake it, the history of this one crazy thing, a lot of its earliest claims and stories that bolstered its possible existence. You know, do black-eyed children, some of which who are probably black-eyed people now, you know, do they exist? Are these stories real? Shit, I don't know. You know, they don't have to be real to scare the shit out of you sometimes. But in the case of Portland, it seems like they've popped up a lot more than in other places. So I don't know how that makes me feel. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that little jaunt. I sure as hell enjoyed it. And maybe I'll do more things like this. Hell, maybe I'll bring my girlfriend along with me, who gets even more shooken up about this stuff than I do. I don't know if she'll go for that, but we'll give it a shot at some point. Anyway, till next time, guys. This has been Steve the Amateur Historian. Take care of yourself. Don't let strange black-eyed children into your house, into your car. If you see them, keep the doors locked, run away, do what you gotta do to preserve your life, even if it makes you seem paranoid. A paranoid life lived is better than a skeptical life dead. That's my advice to you guys. See you next time.